Mr. Warner and Mr. Tennant.
Hey.
And we're going to show you today how to do your checkpoint 1 activity, a lab activity that we're doing. First thing we need to do though is get our goggles out of the goggle cabinet. You come into the goggle cabinet, find a nice pair of goggles, make sure it fits snugly, and you're good to go. And then we're going to move over to the first bench. The first bench will have stations set up for you. I've got one sample station set up where you're going to take observation of the object. So for station 2, it's malleability. Here's my object. I would look at it, feel it, figure out how I would describe its malleability, and then move on to the next station. There'll be 6 stations at this bench. Once you're done bench 1, move to bench 2. So that's your middle bench. At your middle bench, you're going to be taking some measurements using electronic balance, and you're going to use a ruler as well, and an overflow can. We're going to be looking at a few different objects. So on the bench will be a variety of objects labeled. I just pulled out a couple for this video. So here we'll use this block first. So if I was taking this block and want to measure the mass of it, I'm going to take my balance, press the on button, and just wait for it to come on if it's not already on. Look, it's counting down for us. Awesome. So it should say 0.00 grams when we go to use it. If for some reason it doesn't say that, just press the button that says 0 again, and that should put it to 0. Once you've got it at 0, put your object on, and then you'll be able to read the mass, 21.67 grams, and we would record our observation. Next, it asks to measure side lengths. So you're going to take your object, take your ruler. You want to measure the length, the width, and the height of your cube. Okay, and those measurements would get recorded. When we get to the second object of this activity, it's going to be something that's more of a random shape. So I got a dice with a bunch of little indents, or maybe a giant marble or something like that. We can't use the same method to get the volume. We can't use the dimensions. So we're going to use an overflow can. So again, I would do the same thing to get my mass on the balance. And then once I've got the mass, I'm going to get the volume by using my overflow can. So my overflow can is looks like this. We're going to fill it up with water until it overflows through the nozzle. This can get messy. The best spot to put it actually is at the edge of the oh, don't spill like I just did. So we're going to wait for it to drain, and while it does that, I'll clean up my spill. So I'm going to get some paper towel, which should be in the lab over here along the wall. Get some paper towel, and we just wipe up our spill. It's just a little bit of water, so it's no big deal. And we're tidied up. So that's good because it gave me something to do while this was dripping. We want to wait until that's done dripping. And if your teacher's been nice, they may have set out a graduated cylinder for you, but my teacher forgot, so I'm going to have to go to the cupboard and get a graduated cylinder. So we're going to go over to the cupboard over here, and you will see some stuff labeled. Graduated cylinders are right here. So I'm going to pull out a graduated cylinder that I can use. Graduated cylinder has specific markings to measure volumes. Okay, if you've got a small object, get a small graduated cylinder. Bigger object, get a bigger one. So now that it's done dripping, I'm just going to put my graduated cylinder underneath, and I'm going to put my object inside. And any water that falls out, I'm capturing. And then when it's done dripping, that will give me a measurement of the liquid inside here, so the water, and that will allow me to measure the volume of that object that I just put in. So we'll assume it's done for now, and I'll just show you what that will kind of look like. So once I've got it, now on my graduated cylinder, I can actually read a measurement. So for this measurement, it would be 2.60 milliliters. So we can actually read to the bottom of the meniscus on a graduated cylinder, right? So that's the bottom of the bump is what you're looking for, okay? And that gets me the volume of that object. So that's station 2. Now we're going to use that information later to do something. The last bench, bench number 3, is where we do the last activity. And this one, you're going to be using magnesium metal. So we've got some magnesium metal. It's usually at the center of the bench. You're going to break off a piece just with your hand. It breaks pretty easily, or they'll already be broken for you. So we want a piece of magnesium metal. You'll take some observations of it before, and then during the reaction, and then afterwards, okay? So make sure you take a look at it before you do anything with it. just to see what it's like, what its properties are. Okay. These are the tongs we'll be using, so when we actually go to do this, we're going to take magnesium metal, hold it with the tongs, and we'll actually put it in the Bunsen burner flame and see what happens. When this magnesium metal burns, it's going to be a really bright white light. Don't look at it directly with your eyes, okay? You want to look off to the side. You'll know that it's burning, it's pretty obvious. And then when you're done, it'll kind of be a nice ash. You can just drop the ash onto the watch glass. Only drop it on the watch glass when it's done burning. Okay, if you drop it on while it's burning, the watch glass will break. Now, if you've never lit a Bunsen burner before, the easiest way to do this, so make sure this, if you've got this style Bunsen burner, you make sure the knob is turned to the open position, so just make sure it's open. And then you want to make sure that this, see you can turn this and it opens up and allows oxygen. When you're lighting it, it's actually easier to have it closed. So then, once you've got that closed, we're all set up, we turn on our gas, so it's got to be in line with the tube. We get our Bunsen burner, and then we're going to use our flint striker. We're pushing down and across on the flint striker to get a spark. And then we should just light up the Bunsen burner. Once it's lit, then we go back to our air adjustment, and we're going to turn this to add air in, and we get a hotter flame. Okay? We get a much better, more concentrated flame, which is what we need for this activity.
And it's blue, so that means it's pretty hot.
So go back to your astronomy unit and think about that color blue, what that means in the star. Think about it here. And we're going to take our magnesium, put it in, and we're going to burn the magnesium to see what happens. But I'll leave that for you to discover on your own. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.